Hello, and welcome to another Agile IT Tech Talk. I'm your host, Sean Spicer, and today we're going to be looking at a high-level view of Microsoft security and specifically how that fits into the financial service industry. Before we get started, I want to talk about a couple of things. I've been working really deeply in the insider threat management platform in Microsoft Security and am setting up a tenant right now to see what that looks like. And I'm thinking about playing a little game where I would send out credentials to our clients where you guys would get to go in and actually be the insider threat. And so we'll do 2 sessions on it. The first session is going to be how to set up insider threat and risk management. Then the next session will be how to manage that and what it looks like when you have somebody in your company as a bad actor. Secondly, I have been digging deep in the documentation at Microsoft Ignite. They showed off this cool new feature with Microsoft Edge that allows it to be run as a managed application, which gives you all of the defenses, well, most of the defenses that you would have with mobile application management on a cell phone. So you can stop people from cutting and pasting. You can sanction applications. You can say what people can and can't visit. I really almost want to set this up in my house. And this is a super useful tool because, as I've mentioned, I do my tech talks from my son's computer because he has 2 monitors, whereas my workstation is built for video editing. I've got 3 monitors, but my primary monitor is this gigantic 49-inch. So when I do presentations, everything gets really small. But I am a prime example of what it means to have an employee operating in a bring your own device BYOD environment. And Edge is a really cool solution to that. It's not as glorious as Windows Virtual Desktop. I do want to go back to Windows Virtual Desktop. I've done presentations on what it looks like to use it, as well as, what it looks like to set it up. But there's some other cool things. I've gotten Windows Virtual Desktop running in my car. I've got it running with Samsung DeX, where my cell phone turns into a laptop if I plug it in with a USB-C to HDMI adapter on any monitor, which super useful. And I've also got it running on an Xbox. Finally, as you guys know, I am a CIE facilitator certified by Microsoft for security and compliance. And I'm currently going through another boot camp to become a workshop facilitator for secure remote work. And I'm learning a lot. I should be finishing that course up next week, and I'm expecting to bring back lots of cool things to show off from that. And as you guys know, I spend a lot of my free time learning. I'm going to be doing another session on learning resources for Microsoft. I'm currently very slowly pursuing my MS500 security certification, and I'm going to show you guys where I get my information, how I do my research for blogs, how I prepare for these tech talks, and what kind of resources are available for you and your teams in order to stay skilled with everything that's going on. But let's get back to the financial service industry. So today, when bankers conduct business with their partners or their clients, they're one of the most regulated industries around, and they're governed by stricter compliance requirements, or their communications are subject to surveillance. And that typically means the use of recorded phone lines, monitored email. And if you go back in our tech talks and you take a look at the one we did with David Branscombe about compliance and teams, he has a really great slide he uses that is around the Microsoft 365 substrate and how emails and chats and channels and teams are all governed by Exchange, and how phone calls and meetings are governed by the same rule sets within Skype. And because everything runs on these common sets of services, everything stays compliant no matter what you're using, because they all run on this substrate. And so in the financial industry, emails are usually scanned for sensitive data. They have to be archived. There are certain periods of time that things need to be held. The phone lines may be reviewed as part of a regular audit process or simply archived to be referenced if there's some future litigation. Neither of these channels take advantage of information shared over them to support better collaboration between the banker and client, and emails may not be protected using encryption or other controls. The same banker has the option to pick up his mobile phone with installed consumer apps like WhatsApp, Facebook, WeChat, and share files or chat over unsanctioned social media channels that aren't monitored can be inherently risky and may allow bad actors to use compromised identities to gain access to the environment. And some customers insist on using these channels, even though corporate policies prohibit their use. And this drives employees to use unmanaged shadow IT where data and access are uncontrolled. And one of the great features about Microsoft 365 is that it provides this end-to-end intelligent security solution that helps us securely share information. It provides access to the right information by the right people while also protecting against cyber threats and reducing compliance risk. So let's take a look at how that all works. So, pardon me. So to keep businesses moving forward, employees today need to access their bank's resources and applications from tons of locations and devices, including personally owned devices. Spencer, the managing director of the investment banking for Woodgrove Bank, is working on an IPO deal that includes information about Fabricam. And to access his documents from home, he needs to sign into the bank's Microsoft 365. So this is the first time we're signing in for the day. So we're asked for additional verification to confirm the identity. And so this is your multi-factor authentication. And we've sent a notification to your mobile device. Let's see what that looks like. So with this, he can do it with the Microsoft Authenticator app, which is super handy, particularly since I have so many demo tenants. I don't want to get text messages for every little MFA challenge. So the Authenticator app is super simple. And once you're signed in on your phone, you've gained access, and there's another layer of security that can be done where you can lock the Authenticator app. So that if somebody does have access to an unlocked phone, you have to add your biometrics or your PIN in order to approve that request. So, but in this case, it just pops right up, approve sign in. We go ahead and we click approve. And there we go. Now, if Spencer's password were compromised, a would-be attacker would still need his phone with his PIN or that biometric information in order to access company files. So many of the bank's documents are going to require different levels of security classification. And when you look at really one of the most simple frameworks there is the FINRA Small Business Cybersecurity Checklist. And this is one of the key points in their controls is making sure, well, find out first if you actually need the information, and then make sure that the person who accesses it actually needs it in order to perform their job. And ensuring that the right people have the right access to the right information requires controls that grant access only to resources that are necessary for their role or their department. So let's go into good old AWA here, Outlook Web Access. And here we can see that Spencer's been copied on an email from legal with new information on that IPO deal. So here you can see that there is a link to a document saved in SharePoint. And he tries to open it, but because it's on the legal team's site, he doesn't have access to it automatically. So he has to request it. So even as one of the legal team grants Spencer access, Azure AD is confirming that Spencer meets the conditions required to access this document. So conditional access policies enable the IT team to assess risk in near real time and allows dynamic access to resources as roles and responsibilities or conditions change. To see this in real time, we did that tech talk where we fired Megan Bowen, and it was super fast that we were able to block all access to sensitive documents, even if they were stored on her personal device. So, pardon me, this proactive control helps ensure users don't have blanket access to all of the bank's resources. And depending on profiles, regulating aspects such as time, location, and device health, conditional access can restrict or even block access to apps and data, particularly if those access patterns are suspicious or very different from a user's normal behavior. So Spencer, in this case, is on the way to a meeting and wants to catch up on email while in transit. So hopefully he's not driving. Previously, he downloaded the Microsoft Outlook mobile app and configured his Woodgrove Bank email account using MFA on his phone to verify his identity. Since the bank uses Intune to manage his mobile device and mobile applications, Spencer can install work applications on his personal phone while keeping the bank's information secured, allowing him to be productive while away from the office. Since the bank uses Intune to manage these mobile devices and applications, he can install these work applications and still stay productive. So let's go ahead and put the pin in here. And with access to his email, here you can see it's the same view that we had before. And this is some feedback on that IPO. And we want to open a doc file. And notice this file is protected and must be opened in Word. And here what we've got, you can see that the document is marked confidential. And we can read the confidential document, but we can't save it. So here we can secure access to sensitive data on personal devices by restricting actions that users can take, such as copy and paste, like I talked about, save and view. And like I said, this is his personal phone. So this is mobile application management as opposed to mobile device management. So we're only controlling the information on his phone that relates to our business. And here you can see that the ability to save it on my phone is disabled, but we can go to OneDrive, and this gives us the ability that we can save it within the company environment if need be. In this case, it is still restricted based on file permissions. So this gives us peace of mind that personal information is isolated from the organizational IT awareness. So things like his call records, web browsing history, personal photos, and contacts aren't visible to the IT team. And that makes me feel good when I'm using my personal device. I have had multiple occasions where I've had to have two phones, like the hip hop song. And it's just nightmarish that you have to carry two devices, one that is completely controlled by your company's IT department and the other one that's your personal, let alone if they're the same brand of phone. So implementing policies and programs, particularly in the financial industry, rarely happens in isolation. Employees need to exchange information to collaborate and on daily activities. However, as information is shared and more information is shared, vulnerabilities start to increase. So information barriers or ethical walls can be put in place to help ensure potential conflicts of interest are managed seamlessly, and information flows only between appropriate teams. So for instance, separating research teams from investment bankers. Here at Agile IT, being on the marketing and sales department, I'm in leadership, so I get to cross those silos, but we keep sales totally separated from delivery because we don't want the sales guy to set expectations because he's not an engineer. So let's look at some of the ways that Microsoft 365 helps people securely share information while concurrently reducing the risk of accidental or intentional leaks. So Spencer's finished updating that draft Fabricon IPO plan we looked at earlier and wants to send it to legal for review. The plan contains information about the IPO that is highly sensitive and has to be kept confidential. It's absolutely not ready for the general public. So we're going to go ahead and attach the document. And here we can manage our access, and recipients can edit, and it encrypts the entire email. And the encryption is seamless. Your users aren't going to even be aware that it's encrypted unless they try to open it on an unsanctioned device. So this encryption means that it can only be readable from the inbox of the directly intended recipients that are here in the to and CC columns. So this encryption also prevents the recipients, or it can be set up to prohibit the recipients from forwarding the email. This applies to both internal and external recipients. This built-in encryption helps the bank's commercial team remain compliant by preventing intentional or accidental sharing of emails and information. So, pardon me. So you can see up here, you've got your notification. This message is encrypted. Recipients can't remove encryption. Now, because we're sending, we can, but we don't want to. Let's go ahead and send. And encrypted messages can be set to also expire or be revoked as needed in line with data retention policies. And these encryption actions are logged and auditable to help meet compliance obligations. So, excuse me. So talking about those ethical walls. So Woodgrove Bank provides investment banking services not only to companies like Fabricam, where it's acting as a transfer agent, but they also offer wealth management services where analysts guide customers in making quality investments to meet their goals. Accidental sharing of information between these divisions on the business can raise conflict of interest and create bias in judgment. So Spencer, while working on the valuation of the Fabricam IPO, wants to ask a colleague her opinion. He knows his friend Ali has lots of experience in this industry. So when Spencer attempts to chat with her from Teams, he can no longer send information to her. The existing chat record is locked to read only, and he can't find her contact information in the user directory if he searches for her. He'll later find out she got a new role with wealth management, informing consumers and investors about investments, and can no longer interact with the investment banking group. Information barriers in Woodgrove's Microsoft 365 system have created digital enforcement of ethical walls that remove that easy access. And this really makes Microsoft 365 a more powerful tool for collaboration. Now, I have done presentations in the past about shadow IT. One thing to note is this not only prohibits the chat from occurring, but it keeps your employees constantly aware. And awareness is one of the big struggles in cybersecurity and compliance. So they're just reminded. It's not going to stop Spencer from walking down the hallway to talk to Ali, but it is going to remind him that these policies are in place and helps create a culture of guidance and compliance. So let's go to Edge and we'll show some of that off. So Microsoft 365 also prevents that accidental or intentional sharing of restricted data. So here, Spencer is going to write an email to his senior manager and wants to update them on the IPO. So he extracts information from the IPO plan, copies it, goes back to Word, and pastes. So when he's ready to send the document, he notices that as soon as this goes in, it's automatically labeled as IPO confidential. Microsoft has added the digital protections and watermarks to aid in the handling and disposal of printed copies. The bank has configured policies to automatically classify, label, and protect data based on its sensitivity. So in this case, along with the classification label, the document is also automatically protected with rights-based permissions. So you can see here the red watermark, and there's this new footer that's been added in the document, IPO confidential, shred paper copies, again, reminding of the proper policies. And then we can go back to Edge, and you can see that this protection doesn't just follow the file, it follows the data. And that ensures that it remains protected regardless of where it's stored or with who it's shared. So even if we accidentally send this to the wrong recipient, the receiver wouldn't be able to view the content, which saves us from a compliance incident or worse. Really, I like to joke that security's job is to keep the CEO's name out of the news. And that's it. It keeps us from becoming an accidental headline. So data protection like this can also be managed when documents are uploaded to a third-party app using Microsoft Cloud App Security. Got a great tech talk we did with Matt Sosman about protecting documents outside of your cloud, and that's all done with MCAS, Microsoft Cloud App Security. So Microsoft Information Protection, MIP, these solutions ensure that important information is only accessible by those who are authorized to receive and view the information, and also make sure that the critical data is not accidentally released or deleted. So this is how we create policies, and these policies can be customized to automatically secure data according to the individual compliance needs. And as I have spent a lot of time reading about compliance in financial industries, I have so much pity for the people that have to figure out what they're compliant with. There are so many individual state regulations. So let's go ahead and set up a privacy policy here. So what's cool is there's all these templates, and Microsoft makes this really easy. So they've got templates for GDPR, personally identifiable information data, PCI data security standards, and they are all immediately set up here. So here you can see the list of UK and US policies, and then we can, we can also automatically recognize financial data. And this will use regular expressions to identify credit card numbers, bank account numbers, ABA routing numbers. And because you're using regex, you can write your own policies for this. So if you have a internal account number that you use that has got a specific layout, say 2 numbers, a letter, and then 5 numbers, you can set this up with that custom policy to automatically recognize it. So you're not just limited to these templates. So when these policies are made, they can be applied across Microsoft 365, Teams, Exchange, and SharePoint. And you can see, the list of services here on where it's going to be applied, or you can choose specific locations if you only want to apply it to, say, Teams or Exchange, but not SharePoint. So here you can see the list of content the policy will find and detect when it's shared with people outside the organization. You can also set that to inside and outside. And then you can see what you want the notifications to be. And really slimming down your notifications gets rid of that constant alert fatigue. And then we want to test it out first. And we're going to go ahead and create. And what test will do is if you have it set up to block, it will let you know where it would have been blocked. This is a lot like when you're setting up the strength of your spam filters. Is just making sure you're not getting false policies or false positives prior to rolling out that new control. So let's look at the retention labels here. And quite a bit of these regulations require that documents are retained for a specific amount of time. And accidental deletion of content covered by these regulations can become a complex legal problem really quickly. And Microsoft 365 provides tools to aid in enforcing these data retention policies. It retains not only the files, but versions of files covered by a policy. And you can decide where the retention is going to be applied and what will be retained. So the document library, where the IPO team keeps its shared files, automatically applies a label that will retain the files on Woodgrow's system the required amount of time. So no, don't even need to go in and manage that. Now, excuse me, you can see here that it is the SharePoint Investment Banking Group here. And we're going to go ahead and click Done. And then Save. Now, the same labels that are applied to the IPO document library can be applied to individual content in other locations. So if you do need to pull in somebody from another department, keeping in mind those ethical barriers, you can still have the retention policies applied whether or not it is in that SharePoint site. So I talk about it all the time. Everybody is facing a bunch of new sophisticated cyber attacks, and banks are a beautiful, prime, juicy target for this. And disclosure or loss of employee, customer, or IPO data can erode trust in your institution and impact share price. More than that, when you look at what it cost the I'm drawing a blank on their name, the credit reporting company that just dropped their customers' data all over the place. The cost of remediating that and coming back from it was estimated to be in billions of dollars. And so Microsoft Threat Protection is designed to help secure the whole organization from this evolving threat landscape and offers comprehensive, advanced, and integrated security across multiple attack vectors. So let's take a look here. And so we did the phishing attack simulator last week, and it's one of the most prevalent forms of attack. I guess we can't talk about it too much. And these have become way more sophisticated. Fake phishing emails are difficult for most users to recognize when the links and attachments are constructed to look legitimate. Solid user education and services stop these attempts before the user can interact with malicious content, and those are important steps. But here we've received an email that appears to be from the general counsel. And notice the signature looks odd. He's general counsel. So when we try to open the document, we get a notification that it was removed due to malicious content. So if this were sent to other users in the bank, it would also be removed from their inboxes. Spencer can open the replaced attachment to confirm why the original attachment has been removed. So here we see another email with an urgent message. And you can see, as part of our security measures, we regularly screen activity in the Microsoft system. We recently contacted you after noticing an issue on your account. And let's click the link. Not gonna do it. So as soon as he clicks the link, Office Advanced Threat Protection Safe Links activates. ATP Safe Links opens and detonates the link in a secured session to check for malicious content. If it finds malicious content in the link, it'll give us a warning notification that the link was malicious. This helps prevent malicious content such as ransomware from being downloaded to Spencer's computer, and proactively prevents data breaches and credential harvesting, and saves the company from potentially damaging and expensive breaches. So let's close the tab. So if Spencer or others fall victim to phishing or other attacks, the IT team needs to be able to automatically respond and investigate quickly. So Microsoft Threat Protection leverages one of the largest threat signals available from the Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph. Automation powered by artificial intelligence enhances incident identification and response, and it aids security teams to resolve threats accurately and promptly. Machine learning also aids us to link together individual signals, then correlate those events to provide context. So the Microsoft 365 Security Center, my home away from home, provides a centralized hub and specialized workplace to manage and take full advantage of all of the Microsoft 365 intelligent security solutions. I lost my mouse. There we go. So we go here to incidents, and should an attack happen, Microsoft Threat Protection automatically acts to protect the user and the organization. And here we can see that one or more users have clicked a malicious link, and Threat Protection has automatically started an investigation and taken actions to protect that user and other users in the bank. So let's look at this MTP incident. And you can see that this came in through one impacted mailbox, generating 12 alerts, with 13 alerts now. And the emails containing the malicious links have been soft deleted. Now that means that the links have been removed, and depending on the amount of malicious content in the message will be removed and placed into quarantine. This way, we as admins still have access to the message for any litigation or compliance requirements, but the threat is neutralized. And any users that manage to click the link before neutralization have been recorded. And this gives us the ability to target education for these users. Automated incident response is one of the most important elements in security solutions because automation can help mitigate threats in real time, reducing the need for detection and recovery, and ultimately improving the accuracy and overall security for the organization. And just as important, it frees up time for the organization's security operations to focus on more complicated problems and contributes to lower cost for managing information security. And here you can see that email messages containing malware removed after delivery. The severity is informational because, well, it's been automatically managed, linked by two reasons, and excuse me, and what the category and who the impacted entities were. And that is who we are going to want to educate about proper security. Now, as I said, this is a very high level overview of how this Microsoft security stack adapts specifically to financial industries. When you go back, you can see my Tech Talks on Compliance Manager, where I did set up compliance policies that were more focused on defense. I wanted to bring this around because we do have a number of financial industry clients to provide something that shows what it means for them. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be really working on this insider threat and risk management, where we're going to be able to identify not a bad actor outside of the company, but a bad actor inside the company. And that could be doing things for identifying insider trading. One of the really nice features in the Discovery Center is that you can do searches with Boolean terms, including near. And so you can say, for example, we were working on that IPO document earlier. You can say, I want to search for the word IPO, where it has occurred within 3 words of customer, and it will pull those documents up. But we can also set up automated alerts to do that. So really, in the financial industry, you have to be aware of those threats inside and outside the environment. But that brings us to the end of today's Tech Talk. I don't want to go all day, although I can. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, Agile IT Tech Talks are a service for our MSP and CSP clients, but we do like to make this information public and put it out there on YouTube and on our blog. If you're watching online, go ahead and give us a like and follow. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the question or in the comment section below. I'd love to answer them. And what we do here at the end is we turn off recording and we open it up for a live conversation for our clients so that we can talk in a safe and secure place. But once again, thanks for watching and have a great week.